Wax here from ResWax Circuits. I'm going to go over the basic operations we have available in Rudiments. So right now I have 3 unsynced LFOs coming from Oct in my main case being plugged in. All the channels are zeroed. So on the right we have offsets, and on the left we have attenuverters. So the attenuverters are all zeroed, so let's see what the offset does. Look at that, a little bit of positive voltage, goes all the way up to 10 volts. A little bit of negative voltage, goes all the way down to 10 volts, negative. So if I open up the attenuator, we can see my LFO swinging from positive to negative. Let's check that out on the scope in channel 1 down here. Cool, we've got an LFO. We can make it small, we can make it flipped, we can shift it up. Let's see what happens when we make the LFO hit 10 volts on the top rail. Oh, look at that, it's going to clip out all freaky. That's because the op amp can't go above 10 volts. It also can't go below negative 10 volts, so we're going to get the similar behavior. So we use the attenuverter to make it a little bit smaller, and then we preserve our signal a little bit. We get to move around a bunch. So let's see channel 2. Oh, there we go, channel 2, big and slow. Let's move it up here. And let's check out channel 3. Oh, even slower, look at that. So I'm going to get these to kind of cross points a little bit. Let's just keep the offset around 0. Alright, so we see all these LFOs, they're kind of like mixing up. So I have these 3 LFOs coming out, and they're normal to 1, 2, and 3 up here. So these 3 inputs are kind of order agnostic, but they will find you the minimum voltage present at all 3 of these inputs. So let's turn on channel 4 up here, and as you can see, if you kind of compare the bottom to this signal, when the red one gets really low, that's going to be the min value most of the time. But when the red one's positive, it's going to be looking at the faster LFOs to find the min value. Same kind of thing goes with the max, except for this is what's on top now. So when the slow LFO, the red one, gets high, it's going to dominate the max circuit. And now we have the mid. This is kind of harder to see and conceptualize because your brain gets all distracted, but it's actually looking at whatever middle of the 3 is. So it makes this pretty freaky cool LFO shape. So all of these are kind of going around 0 volts right now. So let's see what they do in this rectifier stage. So we have this mid output, right? I'm going to take out the other 2. Now, breaking this output has nothing to do with this. These are input normalized. So if we look at the inversion, you're going to see that's just an inversion. It's the same wave, but it's kind of flipped over. Very cool. Let's check out the min and the negative rectifier. This is going to keep everything absolute value negative. So you can see very occasionally the waveforms won't match up. Now see, now it's all negative stuff. Now it's going to get closer to being able to be positive. But yeah, see that hump? It's because it jumped up to positive for a second, but the negative rectifier won't allow it. Let's see what the positive rectifier does. Basically the same thing, but it's going to keep it absolute value positive. So while this upper signal is in the positive domain, the rectifier output's going to match. But you can see there's sometimes weird lumps like this where the top output goes negative, but the bottom output refuses to, and it instead keeps that same voltage value, but positive instead of negative. Very cool. Now, this last stage is a summing stage. The three outputs here, normal to the top three inputs here, the middle three inputs have no normalization. So right now, this negative rectifier is going into here. So let's see what that looks like. Looks about the same as this bad boy. So let's try adding in channel 1. Whoa, now it's wiggling around at this faster rate, but it's also adding this value. So you can see some of the same kind of little peaks and lumps get added to that. Let's add this much slower channel 3 LFO. So now you can see it mostly looks the same, but it's subtly moving up and down. So if we've got nothing plugged into the output of this channel, this summing bus will sum to the output of this summing bus. So you'll essentially have a 4-channel mixer. So right now, all we're seeing is these two summed because nothing's input in here. So let's try inputting some stuff in there. Get an even crazier wiggle session. Speaking of wiggle session. All right, now same thing goes for channel 3. If nothing's plugged into these two, this will sum to this, which will also sum to this, so you can functionally have a 6-channel summing mixer. Now, it's going to be really easy to clip stuff out, summing 6 signals, so make sure everything you're putting in is either kind of attenuated or you want it to clip, because this thing sounds pretty nice with some clipping audio running through it, and we're going to explore that in a little bit.